Welcome into the UTRGV Coaches Show. I'm your host, KJ Doyle, joining you after UTRGV's matchup on the road in Nacogdoches against Stephen F. Austin. We're joined, as always, by the head coach of the Vaqueros, Coach Travis Bush. Coach, obviously, tough one on the road for your team against Stephen F. Austin, one of the best teams in the country. I know these shows are a lot more fun to do after a win. You know, it feels a little bit more like a dentist appointment when we come in after a loss.
No.
But obviously, Stephen F. Austin is good as advertised. We talked about it a little bit before the show. What were your biggest takeaways from the game?
Yeah, that was, again, just a credit to them, but they were as good as advertised. We knew it. They were, on film, looked like the best team we had seen, and by far, they were just better than us across the board. You know, that was your example of, a great established top 20 program in the country, probably going to win the Southland Conference, and a brand new program to football. They just outmanned us across the board, but they were better than us at quarterback, running back, O-line, defense, you name it. They just, a bunch of seniors, bunch of upperclassmen, bunch of experienced guys, and again, our youth and inexperience showed. And that's just nothing. Credit to our guys. Our guys played their tails off. It wasn't anything we did anything wrong. They were just flat better than us, and you got to give them credit. And then you look at their schedule, and they'll probably end up winning the Southland and probably hopefully go pretty far in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned they look at their schedule. They won 7 in a row, even in non-conference play. They looked well. I mean, they played against a Houston team that was one of the best teams in the country in FBS earlier this year, and they played them close. They've obviously still got shut out, but their defense showed what they were capable of holding that team to 27 points. What were some of the things that really impressed you the most? I mean, you talk about all around Stephen F. Austin being a really talented team. What stood out to you the most, you feel like, from that team?
From them, really just their consistency and the talent-wise across the board, but execution, toughness, all the things. There's some. They've kind of the total package. When you look at college football, you look at teams and guys that they're talented. They maybe don't play consistent, but they're playing consistently. They're detailed. They're fundamentally sound. And Coach Carlton does a phenomenal job. There's a reason he's won national championships at places he's been in the past. But you can just see again really kind of a model of everything we're building here. We're working on with the details, the fundamentals, the mentality, the toughness, the competitiveness at every position, and that's what and that's what we taught our team. I said that's the model right there. That's what the vision for UTRGV football on the field week in, week out is to be at that level, to compete with that level, and that's where the goal for us to compete for championships, to be a conference championship here team down the road in the future. That's what it looks like right there.
And we talked a lot about the struggles of being a new program. You mentioned there one of the benefits is that once you start playing games, especially in the early part of the season, teams don't have film on you. They don't know what to expect. You can maybe catch a few teams off guard with them not being exactly prepared for what you're going to run offensively, defensively, scheme-wise, whatever it might be. Once you get later in the season, that benefit starts to get a little bit less as teams do start to get film on you. How much of a challenge do you feel like that is for the team down the stretch? Teams finally having that film on you guys, knowing what to expect.
That's the challenge week in, week out on the coach's side is kind of you're building the game plans each week. They're going to know about Tony Diaz, they're going to know about this, and how do we manufacture ways to still try to put them in position to be successful. Same thing defensively. We know, hey, a good offense, they see this is our base defense, this is where they're going to try to attack. And you try to predict week in, week out. What are they going to try to do? How are we going to stop it? How are we going to adjust? So the back and forth game there on the coach's side, but that's where it gets competitive on our end as we get through it.
What were kind of some of the messages you shared with the team post-game, just making sure that they don't get too demoralized and use this game as a chance to learn and grow and get better down the stretch?
No, everything for us, again, is just, the big thing, first half, is kind of, maybe a shock, but, we knew in the back of our mind they were that good. But talked to them at halftime. You had two choices there. We could lay down or we can compete. And so proud of the way they came out. They fought. They competed, through. And we were still trying to, onside kick, use our timeouts. And we're going to play for 60 minutes there at the end. So we were, still just trying to find a way and getting those reps. But then back at the end, credit to them. It's nothing wrong. But, we flat told them, hey, they were better than us, and this is what it looks like, and this is where, if we're going to be a championship caliber team, this is where we need to be. And yeah, we made some mistakes, but not too many. But good football teams are going to force you to make those mistakes. But great learning moment for us as well. Again, we're 9 games into our existence, and every week's a learning moment. We're growing, and we've got to be in those situations in games to learn from them and move on.
Besides the effort that you guys were able to give in the second half, are there any other positives that stuck out to you, however small, that you felt like, man, that thing I noticed in this game, this player did this specific thing well, that you felt good coming out of it from?
Well, they were still excited to play. The mentality, they were still upbeat. They were still competing. There wasn't any negativity on the sideline. They were just trying to compete, and other guys getting there. They're still cheering each other on, making great plays there. Scoring touchdowns, and guys were getting excited about it. Even though the score's getting out of hand, but we're still getting excited. Guys were fighting and competing to make plays. So just really the mentality, the effort, and just the growth those guys keep showing.
All right, when we come back here on the UTRGV Coaches Show, we're going to get into some of the big things from this matchup against Stephen F. Austin and see how things unfolded on the field. That's when we return here on the UTRGV Coaches Show. Welcome back into the UTRGV Coaches Show with the head coach of the Vaqueros, Travis Bush. Coach, the offense had their struggles, lowest scoring output of the season, 17 points up on the scoreboard going up against Stephen F. Austin. What were some of the things you noticed that led to that? Obviously, we talked about how talented Stephen F. Austin is on that side. We see in the early going, Eddie Lee, the first drive of the game, takes a hit, throws that interception, 1 or 2 on the day for the Stephen F. Austin defense. Really impressive showing, and that play really starting the game shows you how good they are all around, like you've been talking about.
Yeah, I mean, their defense was the problem. Their D-line, and that was, again, their average was 15, 16 points a game. But you can see they're just phenomenal up front. Best we've seen, and they did a phenomenal job. The second one, we're just in a third, and one of the negatives, a penalty that put us back to 3rd and 25, and really just trying to maybe force the ball in there too deep when they're sitting back there in zone. But credit, that was the first half. That ended the first half. But you can see number 0. They did a great job moving him around. He was a big grown man in there, and but they're phenomenal up front, best front 7. I mean, across the board, and we won't see anything like them the rest of the year.
And in terms of the start, obviously that's a tough one to climb out of. You talk about Stephen F. Austin going down the field very quickly, scoring that touchdown. You throw the pick, they're able to get points there. And you've talked about starting games, especially on the road, how important that is. And you kind of see it right there, the epitome of that, just emphasizing the fact that you need to be able to start fast on the road because it's so hard to manufacture that momentum once you do get in a hole like that, especially against a team of that caliber.
Yeah, it just goes back to the inexperience and the youth, but that comes with comes with maturity, comes with experience. That's one thing they're doing a good job. Obviously, they're undefeated in conference, and that means they've won some games on the road. Phenomenal job, but again, it really starts. It's a struggle. We knew it was going to be a struggle against their defense. It's going to be hard to run the football. We felt like we had to make some plays in the pass game, but to come out and miss a wide open guy first play, then throw an interception second play, that kind of puts and then let them score again off that, and again you're starting out giving them points, and that just makes it an uphill battle from the get-go.
When you look at the first 5 conference games that you guys have had, you've had about as tough a schedule as anybody could have. You've played obviously on the road against Southeastern Louisiana. Now you play Stephen F. Austin. Already played Lamar. Suffered their first loss of the season yesterday, or conference season, I should say. So I mean, you've had about as tough of a road in this conference as you could over the first 5 games. How do you feel like that could help the team, not only for the final 3 conference games of this season, but even looking ahead to next conference season a little bit?
Just that experience again. Yes, you got thrown in the deep end right off the bat as a program. You're not only just playing 8 conference games in the Southland Conference, but having those guys on the road, and you never know. Right. I mean, the schedule, the schedule's set and it's random, but to look at it and those are 3 teams you play on the road. It's hard enough to play on the road anyway, and you got to kind of build into that and get it takes some maturity in a group to handle the long bus rides. Get back at 6:30 a.m. From the game and get right back to work the next week, and just keep a lot of that stuff just kind of builds up and adds on through the season. But it's maturity, it's experience across the board. But we got one more opportunity, and that's still a goal. Still one thing, another first that we can get here is a conference win on the road. We got one more opportunity, but again, our focus now needs to come back home. We need to bounce back. Had a good opportunity. Got a good Nicholls team coming in Saturday, and they're fired up on a 2-game win streak. So we've got an opportunity to win another home game first, and then we'll look ahead to that next road game.
Well, we will be looking ahead to that next home game coming up in just a little bit. That's later on the UTRGV Coaches Show. When we return, we start to look at some of the positives from this game. UTRGV able to find the end zone later in this matchup. That's all coming up here on the UTRGV Coaches Show. Welcome back into the UTRGV Coaches Show. Coach Bush, we talked a lot about the Lumberjacks defense. The offense, obviously, able to do some impressive things as well. What impressed you from their offensive unit the most?
The consistency. They did a lot of the effort. They made just the plays they made, big runs, broken tackles, right here on the opening drive, and get them down there in scoring position. And nothing schematically, just kind of over pursued a little bit, but then we had some opportunities. But best, like I said, best running backs we've seen. Have not seen running backs of this caliber all season, but they were really hitting on all cylinders from the get-go and making the throws and catches and great plays by the quarterback to get out of some traffic. We had them corralled at times in the backfield, but credit to them, they made the plays, got out of the pocket. Receivers ran scramble rules great. You can see here, gets out of the pocket. Finds a receiver in there for the end zone. So just the execution of those details, which good football teams do. They find ways to convert on third down. They scramble around. Another great one-handed catch here as well over the top. So the execution across the board and consistency from the get-go. Something they had been inconsistent at times early in ball games offensively. But again, maybe a chance right there. That's third and goal, excuse me. But had a chance maybe to have them in the backfield. But just credit to the quarterback and receivers. They made plays all night.
One of the positives from this game, later in the game, Aiden Jacobson able to come in against Stephen F. Austin and make some really nice plays. The athlete that he is at the quarterback position on full display with a couple of big runs that we're going to show here. Able to find the end zone for you guys, get in here after a big run before that as well.
Yeah, Aiden's good. He does a good job and just so smart right there. He sees the opening. It's first down and what to talk, go get us positive yards. But really has good speed and, came in there, got us down the field on his feet and, little counter key right there and does a good job getting in the end zone. But just a true competitor and, going to have a good future here for us. But, credit to him. He stays locked in. It's hard to be a backup. You got to be ready to go in from the second play of the game. You got to be mentally ready to not play at all. And you had to come in early, second drive when Eddie's helmet came off. But, again, just shows you what he can do with his feet and a lot of things we can do in the run game with him.
And he's a guy that's had an interesting journey since he's been here. And I had the chance to speak with him earlier this year, came in the studio preseason, talked with him and Eddie together. And, just seems like through the whole process, handled himself very professionally for a college player and has come in and just been that exact type of guy that you want in that quarterback room.
Good, yeah, no, without a doubt, and someone you're building for the future, but so smart and understands the offense. It just needs to get opportunities in games, get opportunities to come in football games and get some game experience, and then have a chance after the season's over to start looking for next year and go fight for that starting job.
When we return here on the UTRGV Coaches Show, despite the struggles on offense, it was another big day for the Vaqueros star on the outside. We look at Tony Diaz's night for the Vaqueros when we return here on the UTRGV Coaches Show. Welcome back into the UTRGV Coaches Show. Coach, we spent a lot of time this season on the Coaches Show talking about Tony Diaz. He's one of the players that consistently, week in and week out, has given you guys good performances. Did so again in this game against a tough Lumberjacks defense. Went out there, scored a touchdown, 6 receptions, led the team in yards from scrimmage, and just did a really nice job for you guys despite going up against a really tough matchup. And we're going to look first at his touchdown that he had. Another classic from Tony Diaz, one-handed catch.
Yeah, and he's been, the most consistent for us outside. And, again, right there on their best corner, who we feel is one of the top cornerbacks in the league. Might have a chance to go even to the next level. He's that good. But, really, he's been the most consistent for us week in, week out against against great competition, against every competition, every level of competition we've played. He's found a way to make those plays. And again, several times last night, we're trying to get it to go his way. And, sometimes we didn't get those off. Quarterback got some pressure, or again, they did a good job of making the plays or covering them. But definitely a guy, again, trying to be creative each week. Got to find ways to get him open. But he does a good job. We know if feel confident if it's one-on-one, anyone that he's against, that he has a chance.
What does it say about him that he was able to do this against the level of defense that you just talked about, one of the best cornerbacks, not just in the conference, but at the FCS level, that he was able to have a successful day to some degree against that defense?
Yeah, his skill, his talent, but his competitiveness and in winning those matchups and going toe-to-toe. But again, just proud of him, and he's really he's been banged up and was fighting through some things last night, and we tried to sub him out, but he wanted to go back in and finish the game, even though the score is going the other way. But she has true credit to him, his toughness, his mentality, and really proud of him week in, week out.
We'll take a look at some of his other receptions here. I mean, he's able to not just on the touchdown, but able to make plays for you guys down the field. Obviously, another look at the touchdown here, but Tony Diaz, we talked about him time and time again. I mean, he's done it against every level of competition that you guys have faced, and he's been able to be, one of the players that has been most consistent on either side of the ball. Talk to us a little bit about, what you see from him at practice that makes him able to do that. I think we're just seeing the touchdown.
Yeah.
It's a pretty touchdown.
It's the same thing we said last week. He makes those plays day in, day out of practice. And even that play shows a confidence. We kind of shift, and we had Ishmael wide out on the other side, and Tony, and really Eddie. We told Eddie, throw to the guy that number 12 is not covering. But he knew he had confidence in Tony, and threw it up to him anyway. This is a huge third down in the first quarter, trying to get out of a hole there when they were just coming after us on defense. But again, just one-on-one matchup. Got Eddie out of the pocket and just found a way to get it down there in range, and Tony found the football. Heck of a job. So then moving them inside here, again, trying to find ways to be creative. They're playing some zone to the field, so moving him inside, the receiver there to try to put him in that window to get him the football. So again, he can bounce around, and we got to be creative to move him around.
Just seems like an all-around receiver that can do a little bit of everything, no matter where you want to put him. I mean, Shifty, you even see on that play how he's able to, break out of a tackle, continue fighting for more yards. Seems like a guy that, you could put, in the slot, on the outside the numbers, have him run any type of route, and he's going to get it done for you. Yeah,
it goes back to, back to high school. He played both ways, played safety, played receiver on all special teams. He still returns punt for us, but definitely, very dynamic and versatile guy.
All right, well, when we return, we're going to look ahead to the next game for UTRGV, back at home at Robert and Janet Vackar Stadium against Nicholls. We'll preview that matchup coming up here on the UTRGV Coaches Show. Welcome back into the UTRGV Coaches Show, wrapping things up with the head coach of the Vaqueros, Travis Bush. Coach, good to be back home, undefeated at home. You guys are so far this season, hosting Nicholls this week, a team that's coming in on a hot streak, and we're going to throw up their numbers here in their schedule. They've had a tough non-conference schedule, went 0-4 during the conference season. We have their points per game, opponents' points per game, but that's pretty much flipped in conference play for them since they started conference play, averaging just over 23 points per game and averaging holding opponents under 16 points per game in the SLC conference. So this is a team that's been playing really well. Won both of their last two games, 31-7, same score.
Yeah, good. They're 3-2 in conference, but you go back, they beat Incarnate Word week 1 when Incarnate Word was ranked top in the country. Really tough non-conference schedule, but got in a row here, 1-2 in a row. Their only 2 conference losses are SFA and Lamar, so very similar to us. So again, it's probably an even match, more evenly matched teams here coming in, but they're on a 2-game win streak. They're playing hot, and again, they're looking at their schedule too and trying to win every game. So, but good football team, and we're gonna have to be firing on all cylinders to have a chance again this week.
And just as you look at the conference standings, they're a team that is 1 game ahead of you in the conference standings, a chance to pick up a game there, a big opportunity to move up in those rankings. And we look at Nicholls' game yesterday that they played, going up against a Houston Christian team, forced 4 turnovers in that game, had 4 interceptions, 31-7 as we mentioned the score there. Played really well against the Huskies, team you've seen already this season. And so Nicholls, like we mentioned, they seem like they're really playing their best football right now, which is obviously your goal for any program is to be doing that.
Yeah, they're still getting better. They're battling some things early in the season, and as we were with getting guys in the right spots. But really probably the most impressive win was a win over at McNeese 2 weeks ago. So they're fired up, and then they got momentum, they got confidence. But definitely getting them back in the friendly confines of Vackar Stadium plays to our advantage. So we're going to need everybody out there again, and again excited to be back home and got an opportunity to be 1-0 Saturday.
Well, luckily for you guys, you do have 2 of the final 3 here at home as we look at the schedule going down the stretch. 3 more games for you guys, only one of those luckily on the road. One of those is McNeese team that you just mentioned. That'll be the one in Lake Charles, and then hosting East Texas A&M to end the season. Only 3 more games. Season's going by pretty quick. What do you make of the remainder on your schedule as we see 3/4 of the way through?
It does. That's talking to our team, and then we only get so many opportunities, get few opportunities every year, but only down to 3, and really trying to cherish every moment we got. And we talked to them. We can be 6-6, 9-3, anywhere in between, but the opportunities are there, and we got three weeks to keep improving, keep trying to play our best football, and but definitely playing 2 at home helps, because those are guys. All those teams are playing good football right now, so it's looking forward to the battles. Again, Southland Conference matchups in November. Anybody can beat anybody, but excited to be back at home this week.
Did things change at all with the early kickoff for you guys now, switching to 5 p.m. kickoffs for the final 2 home games?
No, other than maybe hopefully if we win, you get a little time to enjoy it, afterwards. But no, it's just, sometimes this late in the year, you're just ready to play. You're ready to get up in the morning. Sometimes waiting around all day, it just kind of wears on you. So the quicker we can get on the field, the better. We're excited. So glad to kick off a little earlier. And again, hopefully we got the opportunity to enjoy it afterwards.
All right, well, Coach Bush, thank you so much for joining us this week for another game coming up here against Nicholls on Saturday. Best of luck against the Colonels going up against that matchup. Should be a fun one at Robert and Janet Vaquer Stadium.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
All right, thanks, Coach Bush. Thank you for joining us once again here on the UTRGV Coaches Show. For myself, KJ Doyle, and head coach of the Vaqueros, Travis Bush. We'll see you next time.